What's up, book and movie lovers? Today I'll be watching Persuasion 2022 for the very first time. I have not read Persuasion the book. I have not read Jane Austen novels, but in the last year I have been made a fan of historical romance novels. I really enjoy them. For me, they are like my fantasy genre. So nevertheless, I'm excited to check out Persuasion 2022, and I think it'll be interesting to see the perspective of a non-book reader. So hold please until I watch. I have my blanket to keep me cozy while I'm watching this second chance romance, and I have my coffee to keep me nice and warm, even though it's like 100 degrees outside. Hey friends, I just got done watching Persuasion 2022, and you know, it was okay. Disclaimer, first of all, I am not a big fan of the second chance romance trope. For me, I love to not miss the first interactions, the first love story, and that's what this was. But I still wanted to give it a chance because I know it was Jane Austen's like last novel and a lot of people really like it. And because it's second chance and it opens up saying, you know, they had this wonderful sweeping love, I thought that there would be flashbacks so that we could see glimpses of that epic romantic love. But there were none in this movie, and I think for me that kind of didn't work, because then it makes it hard for me to care and invest in the love story between Anne and Wentworth. But I digress, more on that later. I did enjoy the opening. I thought it was fast-paced, and honestly for me, the breaking of the fourth wall made it more engaging. It kind of gave it this sort of quirky feeling to it, and I thought Dakota Johnson was pretty charming. I think for the purposes of this story, how the filmmakers chose to tell it, you could either have the voiceover or the fourth wall being broken, and I think having the fourth wall being broken really helped to bring out Anne's personality. Now there is a stretch of time before Anne and Wentworth meet again, and I'm just there watching, waiting as she's telling us this story. And when they do finally meet, it is appropriately awkward as she has this jam on her face and this basket, this bread basket on her head. For me, I think it took too long for them to have an actual conversation about what was, and we're just getting the angsty feeling, which angst is great in a romance, but I do get tired of when characters are just not talking to each other, that they're not communicating, because for some time you think, well, the only reason that they're not together is because they won't talk to each other. So that gets frustrating. Then later on, in comes the wonderful, darling Henry Golding, who is oh so handsome. And in the beginning, I feel like I was rooting for him. I had to completely ignore the fact that they are cousins. I was rooting for him because there's nothing that I like more in a story when the guy is taking an interest and he is pursuing. So that's something that Wentworth wasn't doing. You know, he is obviously still in love with Anne. He's doing nothing about it. He is totally fine with letting her marry somebody else. And I just don't like heroes who are not active in pursuing the heroines. But it's very clear as the movie goes on that Henry Golding's character, you know, the cousin, he would have married her, but as a matter of his pride, to kind of stroke his own ego. So at some point I was hoping she was going to end up with nobody, because Henry Golding is just doing it for his pride, and then Wentworth is just out here suffering in his silence, doing nothing, not talking to her. He's not pursuing her. So you know what, Anne, go ahead, go be bad by yourself. I will say this movie is gorgeous to look at. I am by no means a historian, but even for me, I could tell that some of the clothes are not appropriate for the time. And also some of the language use is not appropriate for the time. I have to say that stuff doesn't really bother me because I don't hold, you know, the stories from Jane Austen so close to my heart. I know that it's gonna bother a lot of people who have read the book. It's gonna bother a lot of people who care about historical accuracy. I'm not one of them. Now, should you watch or skip? I think you should watch. I don't regret watching it. I don't have strong desires to re-watch it, but I am glad that I saw it because I thought some parts of it were still kind of fun and quirky. For me, just kind of lacking in the romance for reasons that I talked about already. It is something that you could think of as inspired by Persuasion because of the things that I talked about with the inaccuracies with the language and the costume. You can't go in thinking that you're going to get, you know, a documentary. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you like this content, you want to support me, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, share it, and I'll catch you guys next time.